University of Western Ontario. If you read the leaders in the city of Vancouver, you find that an amazing number of them went to one school, St. George's, and they got little old boys who know each other from locker rooms and sports. And you're a goalie, I mean, you're a soccer player, and they're all louts, aren't you? I mean, isn't this just people getting together with a like mind?
It's all
How do you make it a conspiracy? I mean, families get together and say Hutterites get together in Canada, and they control a whole bunch of land.
David, let me put it this way. It's all a matter of perception and the way we see reality. You've just given a version of reality based on, I guess, being devil's advocate or whatever. I'll give you another version of reality.
Let me just have fun. Okay, I'm going to take Quebec. John just put something in my ear here. John Richardson. Chrétien, for instance, blocked Conrad Black, or seems to have blocked him getting his peerage.
Well, look.
So if they're buddies, why is he doing that?
Well, I'll come to that in a second.
Okay, let's
but let me just concentrate on this. We are supposed to have a society in which the people elect politicians, and the politicians look after the banks and all this stuff, and they look after people, and the politicians are supposed to serve the people. It's supposed to be an open society. It's supposed to be a free society. Now, when I'm talking about the organizations like the Bilderberg Group that all these guys are members of, and meet secretly with reporting banned, etc., I'm talking about just one element of a gigantic network. When you read The Biggest Secret and the works of many other people, you find that it's not just the same names coming up, even in one organization, which is alarming enough, but they come up everywhere you go. And let me just put it this way. Are we really saying that we should not be alarmed that the Prime Minister of Canada, the owner of the major newspapers in Canada, that the Prime Minister of Britain, the Chancellor of Germany, the last 6 Secretary Generals of NATO, every peace negotiator, whether appointed by the UN or the European Union in Bosnia, the World Bank head, major global bankers, intelligence agency people, major military people are all meeting secretly, and this is just one tiny example, staggeringly, to discuss the world and what's going to happen. And we don't know about it? I've said to journalists again and again all over the world, tell me about the Bilderberg Group. And their eyes glaze, what's the Bilderberg Group? Now, if we don't even know at that level, and this is a small level, the Bilderberg Group, compared with the higher elite organizations beyond it, if we don't even know about that, then I'm staggered that we can consider that something like that is just friends meeting together, especially when those who have managed to get information out of the Bilderberg Group and have published it have been proved by the passage of events that what was decided at that meeting was what unfolded in the world. And again, the agenda that comes out of the Bilderberg meetings is global centralization of finance, global centralization of political decision-making, world government, microchip people, world army, evolving NATO into a world police force, and this is the reality of what's going on. And if we want to write that off as a group of friends meeting and no conspiracy, then that's a choice. But it's a choice that's going to cost us very, very dear in the years ahead as the centralized global fascist state unfolds.
Well, see, I'm not against your theory, because I have...
I don't mind if you are, David.
Yeah, no,
I don't mind if you are. I couldn't care less.
I'm not against... Because we have this weird thing that's going on here in Vancouver. Now, let me give you one here. I'll give you some grist for your mill, and if you're... where's your cameraman? He's back in the other room now. We have this thing called the Gillian Guess affair in Vancouver, which is Gillian Guess being the juror that had an affair with the person that was charged with murder.
Right.
Do you know, have you followed? You haven't
story,
seen that, because it went around the world. No. In 1998, she was #2 newsmaker in North America. It was crazy. And Gillian's lawyer at the time I mean, this is, but see, I have a problem with it, because Gillian's lawyer at the time ended up being, well, it goes back and forth. She had formed a law partner with another lawyer that turned out was the lawyer for the guy that had been charged with murder, and then he became the lawyer for the premier of the province, who resigned, and the reason the premier of the province resigned is that he was having some business relationships with a guy whose sister was married to the best friend of the fellow that had been accused of murder. And I look at that and say, boy, that's too close for comfort. That there's a place where we have to stand. But you go to a court trial and you find that the prosecutor, the judge, and the defense lawyer are all buddies. They've been buddies for 15 years. And I was at one trial, a very serious trial, where during a break, the judge and the prosecutor went off, the defense lawyer and the prosecutor went off for a week's vacation together. They've been doing it every year for years. So when you've got people that are in control, when you have families that are, they've been doing business with each other for 400 years, like the Rothschilds, like the House of Windsor, for the God's sake. So when you've got these families, isn't it just that, I mean, I walk down the street and somebody comes up to me and says, how's your mother? I said, well, she died 14 years ago. And they said, oh, well, we went to school together in Delo, Manitoba. We went to school together in Saskatoon.
David, we're talking here not even about politicians in Canada coming from the same flippant school. Yeah. We are talking about global organizations that the public have no idea exist, that have among their number not old Bill and Fred with a school tie from downtown Toronto. We're talking about the leaders of the world. We're talking about the banking leaders of the world.
APEC, yes.
We're talking about people all over the planet that connect into a global organization which is orchestrating an agenda. And it's interesting. You mentioned that story. Virtually everyone on the planet can tell you a story of obvious manipulation and obvious corruption in the legal profession, in their local community. But somehow we have a mental block on the fact that there is a global version of this. And if people just go back to earlier this century and they read the books of people who knew what the agenda was and what they were predicting would happen, they will see that exactly that is happening. Now, George Orwell did not write 1984 from having a daydream. He was involved in the networks, particularly on the left of politics in that time, that knew what this agenda was. And when he talked about Big Brother and the Big Brother society, then he was coming not from a prediction of fantasy or fiction, but from knowledge of the agenda. And if you read that book and then apply it to what's going on now, when I first started talking about microchip people, I mean, people were falling off the chair. You what? Microchip people, you're bloody mad. Except now they're being introduced. I met a guy, let me tell you this story quickly. A guy who joined the CIA as a scientist, as a young man, early 20s, as a genius in the area of magnetics. He, through a third party, asked to meet me a little while ago because he wanted to tell me what was going on. And obviously, for reasons I'll explain quickly now, he couldn't do it himself. And he told me that this new world order for the microchipping of people and the centralized control of the world was an absolute fact. That microchips, this is some time ago he told me this, that microchips were now so tiny they could be inserted by hypodermic in vaccination programs. And just a few months ago...
Well, I heard you talking about this on Art Bell.
Sure, but just a few months ago there was a photograph printed in a British newspaper coming out of a British university, and I'm going to use it in the talk on Sunday, which is a massive blow-up of an ant. And this ant, in its little pincers, is holding a tiny little microchip, even tiny with the blow-up.
In relation to them.
Exactly. And this guy I said to him,